Hello, welcome to my Inktober 2024 video. I'm just going to show you what I made over the course of October for Inktober. It's been a couple of years since I've done this. Took a break. Didn't think I'd do it again, but I kind of developed a plan with my daughter. We agreed on we were going to do purely fan art. And she did her own set of things. I'm only showing you my set of things. But yeah, it was an interesting exercise to do with my daughter. I will include more details about Inktober if you're curious in the description of this video, but mostly I just want to kind of show you what I've made. Usually I put these in a book, but this year I didn't make a book, because typically I also do the drawings with micron pens on like fairly thin cardboard, and this year they're on multimedia paper, which is more thick. And excuse me, instead of using micron pens, I've used India ink, so for the outlines. So that's like a dip pen and into like literally dipping in ink pen. And I also used Arteza brush pens, which are these. Brush pens are just like soft tip, juicy markers. Very inky, very juicy. And I have a tendency to use those with water pens. So I lay down the ink, then I break it apart with water. So I sometimes, or quite often, actually refer to these as paintings, but they're not paintings. They just look like paintings. I call it cheating at watercolors, because they do resemble quite a bit watercolor painting. In the backgrounds, you see that kind of, know if I should call it mottled effect. Mottled. Yeah, I achieved that with salt and water and ink, and I let that dry, and it creates all sorts of cool, often unpredictable patterns. Yeah, so I've covered that materials that I've used, that all of these are to do with fandoms that I will discuss briefly. And I guess the last thing I want to say is I apologize if my vocabulary isn't super eloquent today. I'm under a great deal of stress, and my brain's not really sending the signals to my mouth in the way I would like it to. Yeah, so let's go through these. The first fandom that we decided on and dedicated like 5 days to was Cult of the Lamb. That's a video game that we both really enjoy. It's very cute. It's also very dark at the same time, but in a adorable way. Anyway, I really enjoy it, and I played it for quite a while before she got hooked on it as well. And it's nice, you know, being able to enjoy things like that with your kids. So yeah, this is my favorite follower form. He's like a mini boss in the game. When you beat the mini bosses, instead of like actually killing them, they can join your cult and become followers. So yeah, that's my favorite follower form. His name is Guzian or Guzian. I'm not 100% sure how I should pronounce that, but he's adorable and floofy, and yeah, he's my favorite. And one other thing I would like to say is the vibrancy of the colors never translates well to video or photos, so I regret that I can't show you exactly what I'm seeing, but this is the best I can do. This is not exactly from Cult of the Lamb. It's the Massive Monster logo. So Massive Monster, like, they make Cult of the Lamb. I think they are the like producers of the video game. And at the beginning of when you open the game, there's like a little animation with the Massive Monster logo, and it's adorable. Extra super cute, and so I just kind of decided to do the logo because he's really sweet. I really like how the ink broke up on this background as well. This is actually pure black ink that I did for the background. It's not mixed with any other colors. But then when you break it apart with the salt, you get the different components, the red and the blue, that create the black, which is interesting. So yeah, that's day number 2. And day number 3, I'm also not presenting these in the order that I actually painted them either, because I decided to group the fandoms together to make it less confusing. So I'll stop counting days now because that's just confusing. This is the 3rd painting I'm going to show you though. And as I said also before, painting, they're not really paintings, they just look like paintings. And I refer to them as such even though they aren't really. It's a thing. This is also Cult of the Lamb. It's like a little Easter egg type thing, which you would encounter in the game if you played it. It's a pretty early on it comes up, and there's this little skull. I put the wreath on its head. That's not part of it in the game. I took a lot of creative license with these, which is, fine. At any rate, it's like a little spider skull, and it's actually a crossover they did with Don't Starve. So Cult of the Lamb and Don't Starve did a crossover. There's little bits of Don't Starve in Cult of the Lamb, little sprinkles of Cult of the Lamb in Don't Starve. And yeah, this is to do with Weber, so I won't give you the full spoiler, but that's what it is. It's to do with the crossover. And here we have another kind of, well, he's like a big boss. And he's called Leshy, but he also has a follower form, so you can have him as a follower, but he doesn't look like this in his follower form. So I've taken like his boss form and I've combined it with like the cute follower body, if that makes sense. Again, creative license. I can do what I want. It's my little doodle. And then I made him naked as well because I thought it would be cute. There is a DLC where you can have your followers running around wearing nothing but a leaf, which is adorable. It's really cute. And that's how I drew him. I drew him with his little leaf. So yeah, that's Leshy. He's my favorite boss. I really like the animation when you're fighting him. There's lots of teeth. There's a lot of teeth. So that's actually the end of the Cult of the Lamb ones. So that was like, what, how many? 4? I think that was just 4 Cult of the Lamb. And now we're going into Don't Starve. So we actually discovered, or not discovered, I was vaguely aware that Don't Starve existed as a video game for a while. I mean, it's been out for ages, but it was on my radar. I just never had any desire to play it. But what had happened was I spotted it on sale and I was like, isn't that referenced in Cult of the Lamb? And I thought maybe it would be another game that we could play together, because there's Don't Starve, which is like the first iteration of the game. Then Don't Starve Together is kind of the collaborative version of the game. And I got both. Don't Starve Together was actually on the one that was on sale. It was like buy 1 copy for £4 and get 1 free. So I got 2 copies of Don't Starve Together for like £4. It was a great sale, and it took me a long time to actually get into it, but now I play it quite regularly and I love it. So yes, Cult of the Lamb, which came second, led to us discovering Don't Starve, which we play probably more than Cult of the Lamb now. And this is just a character from Don't Starve. Her name is Abigail. She is the sister of a playable character, and they're kind of this character's super ability or whatever is that she has the ghost of her dead sister protecting her. So you can you have like extra fighting ability, I suppose. And then with Abigail, I drew a frog, and they lick you, and they must have very powerful tongues, because if they lick you, you take damage and you lose items. But I love a frog. Everybody knows I love a frog, so here he is, looking all cute. And here's Abigail. And the cool thing about Abigail as well is that there's a crossover between Don't Starve and Terraria, which is another fandom we've covered here because we enjoy Terraria as well. And yeah, so we weren't aware that there were items in Terraria that were to do with Don't Starve, but we kind of realized once we started playing, and that was a lot of fun. Lots of crossovers, and I have to say my daughter loves a crossover. She really does, and so do I. I mean, everybody does, don't you? When you get little references to things, little nods to things, other facets of stuff you enjoy. So this is more Don't Starve, and this is Weber, which looks more like his Don't Starve character. So in my here it is, my Cult of the Lamb stuff, there's like the Weber reference, and here's Weber. Significantly less dead. And here's the Cross of the Lamb, the Cult of the Lamb crossover reference as well. And this is Chester, who is also a character in Don't Starve, but he's like not playable. He's more like a pet, a useful pet that you can store things in. Anyway, everybody loves Chester. He's adorable. And Weber is also, he's a sweet little boy. He's I think his backstory is a spider tried to eat him and it was unsuccessful, and they merged into one being. So Weber is actually like a little boy and a spider merged into one body, and like two consciousnesses is in one body. Anyway, he's a lot of fun to play, and in Cult of the Lamb, the Weber playable character has all these little spiders that just kind of are animated around his feet, which is also really cute. Anywho, this is actually one of my favorite paintings that I did for the whole series as well. The whole series, the whole Inktober. I really like this one a lot. And here's another Don't Starve. I think there are 5 Don't Starves or 6. There are a lot of Don't Starves because we're really, really into Don't Starve at the moment. This is another one where the background, I really like the way this background came out. I never know how they're going to come out. Usually I lay down at least 3 colors in squiggles, and I wet it and I salt it and I leave it to dry, and it's always a surprise. This is just a bee. Bees are kind of, they're not really hostile characters unless you bother them. And they can sting you for a little bit of damage, but I really like the way that I like the artwork overall in this game. It's really sketchy and different. But they're kind of hairy. I suppose all insects are hairy if you magnify them enough. And I just like his dumpy little body, and they just kind of fly around like they cannot be bothered. They also will sometimes sleep on the ground, and they make these really cute little snoozing sounds. And I was originally going to draw that, but it wasn't as cute if you didn't already know what it was when it's on the ground. It's a lot, identifiable, a lot more identifiable if it's upright like this, flying. So yes, it's just a bee from Don't Starve and some flowers. That makes sense because it's a bee. And here I decided to draw Chester, and I wanted to draw him sleeping, but when Chester's sleeping, he usually has his mouth shut and his tongue in, and I'm not really sure what I was thinking. He's kind of a resting Chester. I was also trying to make him look a bit drooly, but that looks, I don't know, forced. It was a really good, the background came out really nice. I mean, overall, I guess I'm happy-ish with this one, but it's definitely not one of my favorites. And I think this is the last, yeah, this is the last Don't Starve drawing. It's just a rabbit. They are also characters that, well, they kind of just exist so that you can eat them, I suppose. That's what the rabbits are for. Yeah. On the background, it's quite orangey. I think I expected it to be a bit more brown. That's just the way the ink had broken apart. But also in the game, if you're like starting to starve, and you're taking damage as a result of starvation, because you've got like a health meter, you've got your overall health, you've got your hunger, and you've got your mental health as well, your sanity. So anyway, if you are starving, there'll be like this red haze around your screen to alert you that you'd better eat something or you're going to die. And I kind of unintentionally did that in this picture, and it amuses me. And I've probably spoken about it for far longer than I should have. No one cares, but he is a cute little, like, scruffy bunny, isn't he? I like their antenna as well. It's bizarre. So now we're going on to our third fandom, and what we agreed on was Gravity Falls, which is not a video game. It's a series by Disney. Well, it's on Disney Plus anyway, and they think they produced it. So this is back in 2012 that Gravity Falls first aired. There's only 2 seasons. It's 2 seasons that covers one big story. And a lot of people are, sad that it ended there, but it's one story. It wraps up mostly with a neat little bow. And it is I guess a kids program, but there's so much in it that adults can appreciate. I would recommend watching this. If you have kids, if you don't have kids, Gravity Falls is brilliant. Anyway, this little character is just a pet on Gravity Falls. His name is Waddles. He's obviously a pig, and I just drew him with like a little Halloween costume as a butterfly. So he doesn't actually look like a butterfly. That was just, I thought, it's October, I'm going to do a Halloween costume for Waddles, and I did! And that's Waddles. Waddles is delightful. This is a character from Gravity Falls as well. He doesn't have spider legs. That was creative license from me. His name is Bill Cipher, and this is the Rift, which is an important plot point in the series. And yeah, I quite like how the yellow and pops against the background on this one. So I was quite happy with it. So that's another Gravity Falls. Moving on, this is from the very first episode of Gravity Falls, where we encounter gnomes. And he's not an evil gnome, he's just an angry gnome. And he's incredibly amusing. This is another background I really like how it came out. The gnome, I pretty much just copied a picture, like a screen grab from Gravity Falls on this one. I wonder if it would have been better if I'd like oriented if I'd made it a horizontal composition rather than a vertical one. But it's fine. And here's another Gravity Falls. This is the last one. This is the last Gravity Falls. This character is something that is, well, there's one episode that involves this character, and there's a couple minor references. He is a shapeshifter, and this is him as a baby, where he's all like squishy and cute and just came out of his eggie. Yeah, it was weird choosing what to draw for this and what to draw for everything. I really didn't like this originally as a sketch, but I'm quite happy with how it turned out eventually, so that's something. Now we're on to the next fandom, and that was Studio Ghibli. Studio Ghibli. I probably should have looked up how to pronounce that before I started this video. I meant to. I'd intended to, and I said the same thing in the video yesterday, which I trashed. So it was on my mind, but you know. And obviously this is a Totoro reference. And it was pure creative license. This has nothing to do with the film. I just kind of made him into sort of a snow globe, I guess. I don't know. It was a doodle. It was a doodle that came up painting-ish thing. And these are the Kodama from Princess Mononoke. I hope I'm pronouncing these things right. It's been years and years since I've even seen that film. But they're iconic. I mean, a lot of people will recognize what these are straight off the bat. I wasn't particularly thrilled with the fact that I gave them a pink background. But it kind of grew on me, I suppose. Like, when you think about them in the dark, and popping out against probably a blue, black, purple would have made more sense, but I also wanted to make the ferns pop, and this is what happened. This is what happened. Now's probably also a good time to say that I wasn't trying to make like great masterpieces. Trying to push out like an illustration every day is hard work. And so I didn't dedicate like a ton of time to each of these. They are very quickly drawn, very quickly, just whatever popped into my head, and very quickly executed. So yeah. Not my best work, but some of them I'm more happy with than others. This is Ponyo. Ponyo is another film, obviously. All of these are based, or they're characters based on characters from films, I suppose I could say. Oh, I want to yawn. I'm absolutely freezing, and I want to sleep, and I want to yawn, and I want the weekend to get here, like, immediately, but it's only Wednesday. And it's unwise to sleep until the weekend, because leaving my children at school would be greatly frowned upon. Also, I would miss them, but also I could sleep, but not really. Now I'm rambling a lot. So yeah, Ponyo. Ponyo loves ham, so there she is floating in her, I guess, some kind of water. In her goldfish form, which always bothered me because it says she's supposed to be a goldfish, but she's in salt water, and goldfish are freshwater fish, so what is she exactly? I should probably look into that more. But yes, Ponyo loves ham, and Ponyo is... I just adore her as a character. She is the most sweet and innocent and curious little girl. And you know, all the women in these films tend to be incredible characters, but she's just such a little girl, and she's so sweet and lovely and lovable. She's a very lovable little girl. And here I went back to Totoro because I like it, and and I can. I did it because I can. And it's kind of like a little Totoro terrarium. Not a lot to explain there, I suppose. Just doodling. And that's what happened. This is the last one. This is No Face, Trick or Treating. So No Face is from Spirited Away. Another really quite complicated character. It's interesting having like conversations with children about this character because he's portrayed in several different lights in the film, and it's easier to be like, oh, he's scary, or oh, he's bad and he did bad things, but he didn't really. It's easy to try and I suppose it's easy to look at it in black and white, but then trying to discuss gray areas is a gateway to gray areas with children. Is a really good character at any rate. Besides being obviously iconic, most people will, if they've even never seen the films, they'll possibly like recognize having seen this character on things or in memes or whatever. Anyway, I drew him as a little cutie baby trick-or-treating with a Soot Sprite pack. Yeah. That's the end of that fandom. Now we're moving on to the next fandom, which is My Singing Monsters. My Singing Monsters is a game. You can play it on your phone or tablet or Steam. It's kind of like a monster breeding game. So you like get different monsters and combine them to make different monsters, which then you combine with other things to create different monsters, and you collect them. And they each like make a tune or a sound or a beat, and together cumulatively, if you collect all the monsters for like a specific little world, they're islands, I believe, you complete the song and you can listen to their whole song. You can also edit their song by turning on and off different monsters. There's other bits where you can, there's a composer island where you can completely compose your own songs using monsters. So yeah, it's a really good game. I played it for like every single day for over a year at one point. I had a massive island. Got both of my children hooked on it as well because it's a lovely game for kids. It does have in-app purchases and things, but obviously you can turn that off and not engage with it. It's a nice little pleasant game. And yeah, so that's why we decided that was another fandom that we both enjoyed to incorporate into this. This character here is a Potbelly. He doesn't actually look like this. It was kind of a reimagined Potbelly. You can see why he's called a Potbelly. He's got a button. He's in a pot. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I don't much like this particular doodle. And I don't like the other one I did either. The My Singing Monsters ones are definitely my least favorite. They're both my least favorite. I think I could have done a much better job, but it wasn't working out. So here's the other one. This is a furcorn. This little guy here, he's a furcorn. That's my favorite monster from the game. He's one of the first monsters you can get as well early on. But I made him look a bit feral, a bit rabid, a bit diseased perhaps here. I did not do the furcorn justice at all. I did give him a couple of pals. These are called dipsters, and I probably should have just stuck with dipsters because they're very simple and easy to draw. And no, I decided, why don't I make a furcorn? And I made him terrible. He looks like he's in pain. Okay, so we'll just move on from that and into the next fandom. And we're like 2/3 through the stack now. 2/3 of the way through the stack. The next fandom is Adventure Time, and that's a TV series. It ran for 10 seasons. We have all of them on DVD, of course, because they're wonderful. Adventure Time's another weird cartoon that's just so utterly bizarre but wonderful at the same time that adults can enjoy alongside kids. Yeah, and it can be quite dark at times as well. Anyway, this is my favorite princess. There are several princesses in Adventure Time. My favorite princess is Slime Princess, and this is Slime Princess. And I guess I don't have much more to say about that. Also in Adventure Time, and this is the only horizontal illustration I did, there's like a kind of like a little Easter eggy type thing. In every episode, there's a little snail that he'll be somewhere in the episode. It's like Spot the Snail. He's not a main character, he just exists. And at one point, he does get possessed by an evil spirit, and that's the possessed snail. Not to make you think that there's any birdies being flipped in children's programming. That's pure me. I made him flipping off everyone because that's how I was feeling that day. But yeah, you can see his eyes are kind of green. That's possessed snail. They're not supposed to be green. He's usually quite happy and sweet. But this is possessed snail, flipping birdies, being grumpy, as you do. And that's all I did for Adventure Time. It was just the two, wasn't it? Yeah. 2 Adventure Time, and we're into the next fandom. And the next fandom we decided on was Stardew Valley. And Stardew Valley is another video game. I like to play it on my Switch, and just recently they finally updated the Switch version with the most recent update of the game, which launched for PC like in March, I think. Yeah, so it's been a lot of months we've been waiting for this. March or April, I think. Anyway, I also have it for my PC because playing it modded is kind of great. So Stardew Valley is like a cozy game where you move to a farm that you've inherited and befriend the townsfolk. And this is the wizard's tower because of course there's also a wizard. Not my best work, but I like it. It's fine. It's the wizard's tower from Stardew Valley. And this is a character. His name is Krobus. He's an NPC. I think you can't marry him in the game, but he can become your roommate, which is cool. Unfortunately, he lives in a sewer, so it kind of puts a sewer entrance in your house, which is maybe not ideal. But yeah, one of Krobus's favorite things are these black eggs. So I gave him a black egg and a black chicken, because guess where black eggs come from? Yeah. I also like the fact that they both have the same hairstyle. Well, not that Krobus really has hair. He's like a little shadow person. I forgot what they call him in the game. Anyway, I really like the way this one came out. I like the colors in the background. I like the Doom chicken. Look at his face. He has had enough of everyone's shit. That's a chicken that has had enough. And there's Krobus just being joyful. Usually he looks quite intimidated and scared, so I like him when he's happy. Yeah. Random ramblings about Stardew Valley. Play Stardew Valley, it's a wonderful game. And we're moving on to our next fandom, which is Terraria, which I mentioned briefly before because there is crossover with Terraria and Don't Starve. So for Terraria, I chose to just like draw my character. This is like my current character. Terraria is an interesting game. It's like, if you can imagine Minecraft, which people are mostly, like most people are at least aware of Minecraft, but in 2D, so kind of side-scrolling 2D instead of 3D. And the thing with me is I can't play 3D games. They make me very unwell. I just get motion sick very easily. I get car sick very easily. I cannot play 3-dimensional games. For some reason, I can play like Animal Crossing, New Horizons, I can play that, but yeah, Minecraft, no chance, no chance. The interesting thing about Terraria is it actually came out before Minecraft. So, like a month before Minecraft. So it's been around for a long, long time. It's still getting updates. It's a really, really excellent game and something that I can play with my daughter. So I do. We haven't, I think we've gotten about halfway through the game together before. But yeah, there's a lot of games that we like to play together, and there's not a lot of time to play. So we dip in and out. And this is my current Terraria character. It's a game where you can basically do creative things, build things, make it beautiful. You can complete like objectives where you progress in the game, killing various levels of bosses. There's monster waves. You can just dig for treasure until your heart's content, discover all these cool little pixelated treasures. Yeah, and this is one of the little eyeball. He's just one of the little monsters in the game that I've put on a leash. Not because I can do that in the game, but because I would like to. So there's some creative license there as well. Yes, I strongly recommend Terraria. It's something you can play with multiple people at the same time. And yeah, I really like, something that I do really like is pixely graphics. Not just because 3D graphics make me motion sick, but I just have this really enormous soft spot for pixely graphics. And it's the same with Stardew Valley. It's very blocky but beautiful. There's other games as well that I like to play. I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head, but oh, beautiful. Like really minimalistic, chunky graphics make me happy. And this is another Terraria one. It is a slime in a jar. So another probably terrarium reference. I think I've got like 3 terrariums in this Inktober. This is a specific slime. It's Pinky. Pinky is the smallest slime, the only pink slime, and they actually do quite a bit more damage than other slimes, I believe. So yeah, it's Pinky in a jar. And we're moving on to yet another fandom now, and that is Hilda. Hilda is a series. I believe it started as a graphic novel, but then it became a series on Netflix. And it's about a little girl having adventures, and it dips into a lot of like Scandinavian folklore references, which is really I think Scandinavian is the word I'm looking for. Anyway, and as well as various other folklore and mythological references. It's a kids program, but again, it's another one that adults can enjoy. I wouldn't say it's as random as it's not as random or as dark as like Gravity Falls or Adventure Time, but it's worth watching for sure. So these are knittens. So in a jar, another jar. I think this is the last jar. Knittens, like knits, live in your hair and make your head itch, but they are like little kitty cats instead of, you know, blood-sucking bugs laying eggs in your hair. Knittens are great. Knittens, I would prefer knittens. I would have a jar of knittens. And this is a troll in the daytime, so it is stone, because obviously trolls only become mobile in the evenings after the sun sets. And this is Twig, who is a character. Well, he's kind of a pet, but he's a bit smarter than a pet. And in the later, I think in the last season he gets a bit more backstory, deservedly. So yeah, Troll and Twig. And this is Woodman, who is a weird grumpy uncle, I guess. I don't know how to describe him otherwise. He's an interesting character. Doesn't get much for backstory. He just exists and is sometimes helpful and is sometimes a pain in the ass. And I really like that about him. He's interesting and mysterious, and his head floats above his body. That's the end of Hilda. Now we've got another fandom, which is just Pusheen. I mean, Pusheen the cat is just a line of merchandise, really, and some comics and drawings. I have a massive Pusheen collection. I've probably mentioned it before. I think I have in previous Octobers. I've done some Pusheen drawings. Anyway, a couple years ago, they came out with Pusheen in a frog suit. I was very excited until I realized that it was terrible. It was so... they could have done a better job with the design of Pusheen in a frog suit. They tried to make it cute, and it's just garish. I mean, a lot of Pusheen stuff is garish, but it's like garish in a good way. It was garish in not a good way. So I just reimagined how I would like Pusheen in a frog suit to look, and that's what I drew. I put her on a little mushroom. So yeah, love a frog, love a Pusheen. Do not love what they decide Pusheen in a frog suit looks like. And this is the last one. And it's not exactly a fandom, except for the two people who are in this fandom, which would be myself and my daughter. And it's Bun Bun, and you know, I draw Bun Bun a lot. All of my previous Inktobers have had a Bun Bun picture, so this Inktober had to have a Bun Bun picture. And yeah, that's pretty much all of it. Bun Bun, Pusheen, Hilda. What have we got here? We've got Terraria. Terraria is so fun, and it's not expensive. And if you've got a Steam account, you should give it a try. There's so many little weird things to explore and unlock, and so creative. Especially if you like things where you can just like build something, just mindlessly, kind of like Lego that doesn't make a mess, you know, block by block, build something cool. My Singing Monsters is also a good one. That's a free game to download. You can put that right in your phone. Very good for keeping kids occupied, as long as they can't accidentally do any of the in-game purchasing. You've got Spirited Away, Totoro, Ponyo, Princess Mononoke, more Totoro. Gravity Falls, worth a watch. Worth a watch, definitely. From beginning to end, no skipping around. It's one story. You need to continuously watch it to the end. It's brilliant. And then Don't Starve. They had a sale on recently where you could get the game for dirt cheap, but I think the sale is over. It's still not very expensive, to be honest, and it is a lot of fun. Don't Starve Together specifically is the one that you can play with friends. And you know, you can save your world and dip in and out of it over time and keep developing it. And here we have, and end on Cult of the Lamb, another wonderful game. There is a multiplayer, but you can't like multiplayer remotely. It's a bit confusing. I really hope that they fix that at some point, because I would love to do multiplayer remotely, but having to do it like at the same time in the same space is not ideal. Back in the day, that's the way things were. But now we like to do things remotely and play with people all over the world because we can. Not sure what I'm going to do with this stack. I mean, I could make a book for it. I might. I don't know. I think I'm going to put them in plastic sleeves and keep them safe and stick them in the, you know, the box under my bed where I keep all the other paintings that I don't do anything with. I think that might be what gets done with them. I don't know. I don't know. I might break up the set. I'm not sure. Can't think about that right now. But yeah, that's been a 45-minute ramble of me going through 31 illustrations. Illustration's probably the best word for it, isn't it? Because they're not really paintings. They don't look like drawings exactly. They're illustrations. Yeah. And I'm a bit more happy with how I've not said the word delightful 48 times in this video, which was my problem yesterday. I had like no adjectives. Just like 3 that I used over and over again, and it was redundant and terrible, and I'm still rambling. I should stop rambling. I'm gonna see you later. Bye.